All right. Welcome everyone to this very, very exciting panel after the very exciting conversation that Hamid and Abhijit had. It was a really insightful session to learn about how the world's largest sovereign wealth fund manages its information security. I'm super excited to be hosting a panel of very, very experienced security entrepreneurs here on this in this session. Between everyone here, we've got give or take about 100 years of security executive leadership, let's say, behind us. Hopefully that makes us all wiser. It definitely has made me bolder, right? And no pressure for the rest of us, although I think Kevin, you're next, right? And everybody else will be following. No comments on you, Arti.
So this is how this is going to go. Okay, I get it.
Yeah, totally. All right, I'll just introduce the topic briefly. What I'm hoping to get views from this panel is enterprises are spending more and more on security every day, right? Enterprise security budgets have increased on an average by about 27%, according to most estimate year on year, right? That's a lot of increase. But at the same time, cybersecurity breaches, data breaches continue to rise even more non-linearly, right? More non-linearly compared to the budget increase that enterprises are putting. And the idea here is to really understand, get a view from everybody here on what do they see as the reasons behind that. Infrastructure level security, which today occupies 80 to 90% of an enterprise's security budget, and how the move to data-centric security is affecting the cybersecurity landscape, right? This is about as general as that. All right, let me start off by taking off from where I introduced the topic, which is maybe I'll direct it to Arti, and Kevin and Jim, please feel free to chime in. Arti, enterprises are spending more and more on security every day, like I was talking about earlier, but are lesser and lesser capable of defending themselves against breaches, right? What do you see as the gap? What's going wrong?
Yeah, no, that's a fantastic question, and I think that we can break it down a little bit, right? So the amount of data that we use to run our lives and to run the world is increasing exponentially, right? We just have tons and tons of data. This data is processed now on massive platforms, and everything we access these days is all real time. Think like Uber, think like DoorDash, eBay, E-Trade, like all this data is being processed all the time, and so we're security conscious. Lots of companies are security conscious, and they'll try to protect this data, right, whenever they can. And whenever they can is usually on the device, at rest, in a file system somewhere. But in this real-time enormous data processing type of world, we've got this data in use, right? For these services to work, that data has to be crunched and processed, etc. And that represents, in my opinion, the largest gap, right? When attackers come in through trusted paths, right, with a legitimate credential, they're actually cutting through all the protection that I described and coming straight to that data in use. And that represents the largest gap we have. Like, how do we allow companies and organizations to deliver services and run these operations without that exposure? And so that's where I feel like the kind of work that you do and we do and other companies do in identifying this data will help. Because how can you protect something when you can't tell a good guy with a good credential from a bad guy with a good credential, right? So I think that's sort of like one of the fundamental issues. Not to mention other things like, if you don't know where your data is, how are you going to protect it? Right, so there's like basic things that relate to how much data we have going around and how much of it is in use all the time. So I'll sort of say that because I'm sure other people on the panel have opinions on it, and maybe circle back around with my own thoughts on that.